All right, good day, everyone. Welcome to this pimvendors.com webinar, where today we'll dive into the mind of an AI founder. Svetlana here in the call with me um, on this ongoing series on product data and AI, where we discover how the transformative powers and developments of artificial intelligence, and especially the generative intelligence, artificial intelligence is changing the world of product data. I'm Stefan Spijkers. I'm the co-founder of pimvendors.com. And as pimvendors.com, we help you solve your product data challenges, be that the setup of your processes, the setup of your IT architecture, including, well, it's in the name, your product information management tooling, your PIM, but also your MDM, and since recently, all the different AI tools that can help you really, well, boost that efficiency and effectiveness of that product data process. We've been doing that for 5 years, and I'd definitely like to invite you to check out our site on pimvendors.com. Not now, stick around, but to check out our site for all the free information we have right there, or to follow us on LinkedIn here, because we'll have many, many conversations with founders, engineers on, well, the powers of AI, but also all the different solutions around that product data process. Today, I'm here with Svetlana Godumova, the founder of Pixyle.ai, and Pixyle is a product data enrichment platform that really helps you, well, generate, it's in the name, the descriptions, attributes, and attribute values for your products based just on, well, the visual input, the pack shot, or the photos that you have of those products. It focuses on fashion, maybe not surprisingly, as images are such an important piece of the fashion product experience. But before I go and hand over to her to do a quick introduction, I would like you to maybe share your questions and comments and challenges as well. It is kind of an interactive session. We have an eye on the comment section here on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions for Svetlana, if you have any challenges that you would like to share with Svetlana and me, and you would like us to discuss during this call, feel free to share that. If you don't want to share that live, share that afterwards with me or with Svetlana. I've already shared her profile. I'm pretty sure you can find me as well, as we'd be glad to help you with your challenges and well, maybe even help solve them. If you have to leave earlier, and that's the final housekeeping, I'm sorry, no worries at all. We'll be recording this session and we'll be sharing it with everyone that is attending. So if you have to leave early, or, well, if you joined us late, you probably didn't see this message or didn't hear this, but even if you join us late, we'll be sharing the recording with you afterwards, so you can rewatch parts of it at your leisure. So no worries about having to leave earlier for an impromptu meeting. Having said all that, I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. Svetlana, you are the CEO and founder. You've been the CEO and founder of the last 15 years already. Maybe could you do a quick introduction of yourself? And well, we're here to take a look inside your mind. That's the whole purpose of this webinar. So let's see where we end up. But could you start off with a quick introduction, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, great. Of course, thanks, Stefan, for inviting me to this webinar. I do follow you, so it's really great to now be in one of your webinars. So hi everyone, I'm Svetlana. I'm the founder and CEO of Pixyle.ai. I've been working with technology and specifically with artificial intelligence for the past 15, almost 16 years, and I founded Pixyle 2018. So basically, almost 7.5 years, I've been the founder and CEO of Pixyle. As I said, my background is technical. Besides being the founder and CEO, I'm in a way also the chief product officer. And basically, the goal of Pixyle is to help brands and retailers improve their product data creation, advance their product data to a different level so that they can easily be discovered on any searches there is. But we'll talk more about Pixyle and what we do afterwards.
All right. I mean, for the people that are keeping score, 2018 is about 4 years before ChatGPT 2.5 launch, which is seen as this sort of milestone in the development and adaptation of generative AI. I mean, there's a whole world of artificial intelligence, but I think if we talk about AI nowadays, everyone, no,
Yeah.
90% of the world thinks it's generative AI. But that AI journey started way before Transformers and
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Could you shine some light on that, maybe where that started even 15 years ago?
Yes, of course. So I still remember when my first master thesis was around computer vision and AI, and it was about it was connected with retail. It was about detecting in what product people are looking at in front of a shopping window. And in front of a shopping window, this was at Philips Research. There were like infrared cameras, and we had to take photos. And my first task was collecting data, because when you talk about AI, it's all about data. So I had to take photos of people looking left, right, up, down, in order to train the first computer vision model to detect where are people looking at, so that once somebody is looking at some product, there were like screens, and then information are shown on these screens. This was about physical retail. This was 16 years ago. And I still remember us crafting the features, right? You take a photo of an image, and then there were histograms of data where you actually say, okay, the contrast is here, you know, the nose, the eyes. So basically, this histogram of data were representing the face. And then based on this data, we were training what we call shallow learning. So learning wasn't even, a thing then. Neural networks existed, but nobody was using them. The most popular method was what was called support vector machines. So basically, we were doing shallow learning at the time. And afterwards, when I started my PhD, and this was 2011, then we actually again it was all about shallow learning, and I was working on research about processing images and videos to recognize concepts in images. And when we think about concepts, that is okay. There's an image, there's a chair, there's something different in an image. So then we were again using this shallow learning until 2012. So this is a bit of a history of AI that I'm going through. That when deep learning became very popular, because there was one competition called ImageNet, and now when you see all these great people, Jeffrey Hinton, Alex Kruszewski, who is now, people that developed these deep learning models and won on this competition are now part of the founders of OpenAI. They are in Google. So when then deep learning took off, 2012, and the transformers that you mentioned came out 2017, and that came out of Google. And I don't think that the researcher that created the transformers were aware of the impact that it will make, because transformers are just a model. But then what the big tech giants and those that have the money and resources, like OpenAI, use the transformers to train on very large sets of data. Literally, OpenAI is trained on the whole internet. And then basically you get a model that can learn so much. And I think the turning point here was that it learned without having so many labels, so unsupervised. So just as we humans, we look, not we're not instructed, but you just look and you learn some things. This is how AI became to learn, by looking at all of this data.
Yeah. Yeah, I have two small children, and
Yeah.
I'd rather not want to have them learn on the internet, right? So if I put them in front of YouTube, then the amount of stuff and crazy stuff that they see, um, yeah, I don't want them to be trained on that. I'm very curious. I'm very interested by the fact that even though the internet is so full of terrible data, let's put it that way, um, still the results are so revolutionary. But
Yeah.
we'll get there. I think it's super interesting. What you said, shallow learning, right? Was that because that was good enough, or was the compute just not there? Can you maybe walk us through that journey as well, that development of the technology?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, and I think you said it right. It was because the compute was not there. So the first neural networks that actually, I would say the first application of neural network, it was around 1000, 1970 something, I think 77, where, Jan LeCun, if you follow the AI world, he's really famous. He's now chief AI scientist at Meta. Basically, he was the one who created the first application with deep learning, and it was about recognizing digits. and this was mostly done for the postal service office when letters come in, so somebody to read the letters and the numbers so that it can automatically be sent to a specific place. So this was the first application of deep learning. However, the compute was not there. So neural networks require a lot of computational power and a lot of GPU power. And I think what helped AI come this way is also the gaming industry, because the gaming industry was all about rendering images and videos very fast. So there was a lot of attention put to creating high processing GPUs. So when you talk about images and videos, this is matrices of data, and so basically computing a lot of this data on GPUs, and which actually, because of the gaming industry, became much more advanced. Actually, in 2012, when this Khrushchevsky net from Alex Khrushchevsky was created, he just said that I trained my neural network on my desktop computer at home, on which he played games, right? And he said the network was running for 7 months. So it took 7 months to learn from all the data at that time, which was ImageNet, and in order to train a neural network to recognize concepts in images. We're talking about images now because this is what high GPUs need for. So basically, I think the computational power was not there when we were learning, when we were using shallow learning. So we were training on CPUs even, right? And then when all this computational power became available, but then someone realized that actually now let's go back to neural networks, because neural networks are here, as I said, on 1970s, but they were not used up until this century. And I think it's great that Jeffrey Hinton, the group in basically in Toronto that was doing AI, they realized, okay, let's go back to neural networks now. Let's see what I can do with this high computational power. And they actually showed the world and the whole research community working on AI that indeed neural networks work. Because just to give you a perspective on this benchmark, all of us working on shallow learning, let's say, were here, and then when they came with the results, they were 10% higher than everybody else. And then everybody started using deep learning, and the next year, Microsoft, I think with their compute power, they came in and they were the best. For example, the Khrushchevsky net had 9 layers. Afterwards, the next year, Microsoft came in with deep learning, having 200 layers, right? And it's going. So the network became deeper and deeper and wider. But of course, also the transformers, as you mentioned, that have a bit of attention sensing helped with advancing where we are now.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy how that intersection of hardware and software concepts is now sort of happening at the same time, and able to support each other in this revolutionary period. But before we get to that, I want to quickly look back still, because I mean, where did that passion for visual AI, for what you're still doing actually 15 years later, where did that come from? Like, how did that start?
Yeah. Well, specifically for fashion AI, I might say I was like one of the student geeks, right? I was also always very good in math, and I think us millennials were a generation where technology started becoming part of our everyday life, right? We started with looking at the first PC. We started with the Nintendos, right? Like, I think we were the generation where technology was kind of coming to life, and of course that was so exciting. And me being so excited about engineering and technology, and of course I decided I want to go study computer science, and I worked also as a software engineer at some point. But for me, the curiosity of making machines smarter was always there. So that's why I chose to do a PhD in AI, and I didn't even dream that AI would come to this point where we are now, being working on research by crafting features in a histogram to shallow learning to where we are now. I wouldn't even guessed, me working in AI, that we would come in my lifetime building intelligence machines as they are now. So I think that the love came from there. And then next to that, I was also born and raised in a city where fashion is a really big thing. So it used to, the city where I live in was used to call the Manchester of Macedonia, because it had a lot of textile factories producing clothing, a lot of brands. So I basically grew up surrounded by fashion and people talking about fashion. So I think it was, because sometimes I also look back, I get this question a lot: how did you combine fashion and technology? I would say, being born in a city where everybody talks about fashion, and I love fashion, I love shopping, and then at the same time working on this technology, kind of, it was natural that they came together. And this is how Pixel was born.
Yeah, I mean, but let's dive into that because you don't. This feels. I mean, it it is not a typical career path. Let's put it that way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Especially for engineers. Maybe
yeah,
in San Francisco or in the US, it is more, well, especially since maybe the whole startup culture started taking off in, let's say, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. Then
yeah.
that was the point where suddenly it was cool to be a founder. It started to be cool. I think it's very hip now to be a founder. I'm very glad that I'm a founder of my own company, so I can
Mm.
give out cards with my name and the title of founder on it. But 7 years ago, it still was very early. Like, how did that come to be for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's interesting how sometimes, different paths in life lead you to where you are now. So I would say, like 2014, I went on a research as a research visitor in Columbia University in New York, and although, let's say, Europe was behind, also being in New York and working on AI research there, everybody was talking about startups. Right, so I got to feel, maybe not San Francisco, but there was also a vibe in New York, especially Columbia, really high level Ivy League university. I think half of the people there wanted to build startups, and half of them were working at Google. And this was the time where we work as a community and as a co-working space started become very popular, and there were a lot of talks. And me being always very curious about things, I was going to these events where there were founders talk, and they were talking about, their own startups, the journey, and everything looked so exciting. And then when I came back to Amsterdam, because I was doing my PhD there at the University of Amsterdam, the group there was amazing. And I think what happened at that point is that I think Europe and the Netherlands and basically the city of Amsterdam, they realized that US is going really fast with startups, and they need to invest in building startups in Europe. So actually, there was this community created, the Amsterdam Center for Entrepreneurship, called ACE Lab, and they started bringing people and mentors from Silicon Valley for high tech PhDs and master students working on AI or biotech, really high level technology, in a way creating boot camps to help them how to build startups. And I think this was a really great initiative. Currently now, AC Lab turned into a startup village. So from 10 years ago to now, it's a startup village. It's at Science Park in Amsterdam. There's so many startups out there. They're renting offices for them. So and I was lucky enough because I was in the second batch. So I was part of this transformation happening. And there's still photo of the group of us sitting on the wall in the startup village, which is amazing. So and I think like having these mentors, and going through this 3 month boot camp program taught me a lot, because I was a technology person working with shallow learning, then deep learning, image processing. Then I learned what a business model is, what is a value proposition, nothing I knew of. And I think what was really good in this boot camp, that they really forced me to pick up the phone and make phone calls. And at that time, I also had the idea of connecting, fashion with AI, and the idea was different there. It was about influencers and how you get inspired, and then you want to buy the same clothing. So I just picked up the phone and I started meeting with influencers, and then I started meeting with peer agencies. So in a way, I started learning about the fashion industry and how things work. And yeah, after a 3 month boot camp, I was so sure I want to do a startup after I graduate. So I went back to finish my PhD. I went back to doing the geeky things, and then after I graduated, I founded Pixel.
Okay, that's super cool. Like, um, it could have gone into the direction of becoming an engineer at Google like 10
Yeah,
times in that whole journey, right? But you didn't. Okay. But that's just the start, right? And I know all those business model canvases, they sound a bit cheesy
yeah,
now, like 2025. Still, I think they can help structure a lot of things, but like back then, that was the only thing you had, right?
yeah,
That was like the coolest stuff. Um, it is it is still interesting for me that you choose this path of high resistance, right? Choosing, I mean, nothing wrong about being an engineer at Google or becoming a
yeah,
researcher, or right after your PhD, you could have become a researcher somewhere. Nothing bad about that. But the fact that you like, what do you think really triggered you? Yes, it was fun at the boot camp, but what really triggered you to choose this high risk, if I dare say? I mean, as a founder myself, I sometimes find that difficult to explain how that works for myself. But how was that for you, choosing, yeah, this different path?
yeah. That's a great question. So I think it all comes down to what kind of person you are, and back to your personality. I had a really great mentor during my PhD, and he said like the PhD is all about discovering yourself. Discovering your true self, because you have so much time to think. You're doing research and you have so much time to think. And I think what I discovered about myself is that I really don't enjoy sitting in front of the laptop, 8 hours, 10 hours a day, and with my headphones on and just typing code. This is not me. I'm communicative. I want to talk with people. Somehow at some point I also became a leader of a group. It just comes naturally, right? There's some things that in all of us that we are naturally good at, and some things that we need to put extra effort in. For me, it came naturally that I want to talk with people. I want to build things, but also I want to build things, right? For me, that comes like I get energy and adrenaline, and getting excited about thinking of ideas, but also building things. And that's why I said I'm the founder and CEO, but also like the CPO, right? The chief product owner, because it all started with having an idea, but then putting that idea into a product, and then creating a product that people and companies are using is the next level of giving you so much pleasure. And although science is great, and there are a lot of research papers in AI, for me that was never enough. I always wanted to see research going into something practical, going into something that that can solve problems. And when I started Pixel, I actually started solving my own problems as a shopper, right? I started, okay, there was this image search technology. I really love shopping. When I see a photo, I want to find the exact dress of buying it. So it came out because I wanted to solve the problem that I feel. And it started with this idea, but of course, then when you start talking with businesses and industry, it changes, it progresses, and now actually we are a product data enrichment for fashion, which again ties back to the initial mission of being able to find products easily, but finding products easily with rich data and very well described products.
Yeah. Now tell me about rich data. That's I can talk about that for hours, but I'm curious. You said you started with a totally different idea, right? Basically, sort of an ASOS type of thing where you had
Yeah,
like the ASOS is as seen on screen, right? So that's the origin for the people who don't know.
yeah,
Um, Basically, it's that you still see a lot of those apps today. And I'm very curious what you think when you look at that, and also what was it for you that, well, we know why you started this was scratching a personal itch. That's always how it's the best way to get started with a startup.
yeah,
um, but then you find out it is not working. I'm very curious about that moment and about
yeah.
that decision. So if you could take us there, that would be very interesting, I think, for us to learn as well.
Yes. Yes, great. Of course. So I think before going there, what I want to say is that we are one of the startups that survived COVID and the pandemic. So I think that played a very big role also in the pivot. So when we started, as I said, we started with selling a visual search. You take a photo and then you find a very similar item of that photo, and this was called what we called visual search. And when we started, selling visual search to brands and retailers, what we found out that they all thought this is a nice to have, right? It's a nice to have, next to the search, textual search, you add a camera icon. But actually, this was the moment when 2019, the pandemic came, right? And then it felt like there was a bit of hit on the fashion industry in the times of the pandemic because not many people were buying clothes, that nobody was going out. So when we started talking with brands and retailers, we realized that they are now not ready. This is not the time for them to invest in nice to have. And when we started talking about visual search, everybody was asking us, but how does this work? And then we would say, okay, we take an image, we create a feature vector, but then we also generate a lot of data and attributes around. Okay, this is, let's say a white shirt. It has a round neck. It's short sleeves. It's regular or oversized, cropped. All these attributes, and then we compare these attributes together with the feature vector to give you the most similar item. And we started, actually what we realized is that the brands and retailers we were talking with were more interested in the data, and they were saying, oh, but how do you generate these attributes? We actually have a lot of pain point into inputting these attributes manually. Also, there are different people inputting these attributes. They're not consistent because everybody has their own feeling about the style, or about occasion, or a different monitor for the color, or so there was inconsistency around the data, but also it was taking a lot of time to input data. So what we realized is that this, next to visual search, we can start providing and selling automatic tagging, which is literally taking a photo and generating a lot of attributes and a lot of fashion details about this product. And companies were ready to pay for this because one, that you get efficiency boost, right? Instead of people typing in for hours, you get results in seconds and minutes in terms of attribution. And second, in a way, is like optimizing on resources, because the people who are inputting the data now, they could have worked on marketing campaigns. They could have think about more about how to about the trends and everything else, instead of typing in the data. And third, what we saw and what we started measure with clients, that even their sales improved, because the more data you have, the more filters you can add to your website. Not only to your website, but also we even helped B2B teams with wholesale. So basically them selling to other retailers, it helped because retailers could filter and have a better organized catalog to search from. So basically, all this data, it turned out that is helping enormously to our clients. Efficiency, resource optimization, and then helping in sales. So then we said, okay, we focus on automatic tagging. We started building the largest taxonomy there is for fashion, a lot of attribution, started following the trends, and then we got here where we are.
Yeah, cool. But even then, I mean, it makes sense, right? But it is like you had a vision that was maybe going this way and reaching for the stars with a purely visual search. Like you see a future in front of you where people are not window shopping anymore, but they just see something cool. They take a screenshot of their phone or their Instagram, or they take a picture of someone on the street, which I don't know. But anyway, um, they share that with the web shop that they're searching on or wherever, and they get clothes that match that look, right? That was the vision. That was the vision that was over there. That's a beautiful experience for the shopper
Yeah, yeah,
if they do that, right?
yeah.
But then in reality, you now are on the more on the back end of things, trying to make products richer, but also make the whole process more efficient, which is a totally different thing. Like, how did that how did that insight land? Like, is that something? How did that happen? How did that? Yeah, how did you came to that conclusion?
Yeah. Well, as for every startup, is all about finding the product market fit, right? It's amazing, as you say, you have this vision and a great shopping experience. But then, okay, what is it? What is the biggest pain point that clients have? And also, what are they ready to pay for? Because at some point, you need to build a profitable business. And as I said, at the time when we were, I think maybe we were a bit ahead of the time, even. I don't think people were that ready about for visual search. Now it's everywhere, but I think it was a totally new concept, and I completely understood the brands that we were selling to. They say, okay, now we need to not only add this technology, but also adapt the user behavior, the shopper's behavior, because not only it's not only about adding the technology, but also telling their shoppers that they can search now with the photo, right? So and this is like a completely new concept, and a lot of marketing effort. And so what we realized is actually that creating product data is the first step to making the product discoverable. Yes, images is great, but we were that was really ahead when the product data was still an issue. You cannot jump, and I completely understand, you cannot jump 3, 5, 10 steps ahead when you still haven't solved the basic issues. And this is with product data, and product data that is optimized for your filtering, but also for your site search, but also to be discovered on Google. So it's not only about adding the basic attributes of color pattern and the category, but it's also about optimizing your titles, your description to be found by Google, and also optimizing your data for your shopper's language. So it was really interesting experiment that we did with Depop. So I think it was really, I would mention it now because it has a lot of volume of products that we were tagging, around 4 million products per month. And what we realize is that, okay, we have our own taxonomy which has basic keywords like patterns, styles, occasions, sleeve length, all these basic keywords that everybody needs for their filtering and for their categorization. What the experiment that we did is that we also took the keywords coming from the shopper's language. So basically, what is being typed in the textual search, and when we took those and when we implemented those in the tagging, their conversion and sell-through rate really increased. And why is that? Because, for example, there were people searching for spaghetti tops. I didn't even know what spaghetti tops is, right? They were searching for Y2K. I didn't even know what Y2K is. So this is like, year 2000, 2000. So this is a style from there. So then what we realized, it's not only about the attribution that the merchandisers and the brands have, but it's also about the attribution that the people who shop search for. So then we introduced another feature called optimized searchable attributes, which is, and what our team is doing now, we're constantly looking what are the trends out there, what is it that shoppers are searching from on Google, and and also on other sites. So not only that we provide the basic data to the clients, but what we also provide is the shopper's language, all the trends that are out there. So you, in a way, not only did you get categorization for your catalog, but you also get optimized searchable data to be better found on Google, for your on-site search to work better, and even now for the AI agents and ChatGPT, because we now see a consumer behavior change as well. Also for AI to find you, and for all of that you need data, and that's the basic, as you say, housekeeping. When you started, this podcast is about saying, the basic things for brands and retailers. The basic housekeeping is having their catalog organized, their data optimized and enriched, because having success on online sales, it starts with having visibility, and having visibility is all about the product data.
Yeah, it's something that is underestimated so easily because it sounds so simple. Like, oh, you just put a product online and just put it there and put a price tag on it and some images and some titles and some attributes and some descriptions and some SEO descriptions and some meta tags and before you know, and some translations, and before you know it, you, you can spend a week putting one product live because it is so complicated, and you have to put it in this many
Yeah.
categories and map it and make sets, etc. So it's very simple. The baseline is very simple. The height, but yeah, just getting it, the full product experience, if that is something we can use here, a term we can use here. Getting to that full product experience is I think the real challenge, and making that leap from, hey, it sounds easy, but it is actually very complicated in real life, right? It is
Yeah.
something to do it well is very complicated, and it's not just about the hygiene factors and the things you see on the product detail page, which is just like what you said. It's whatever. Is it a V-neck sweater, or is the color white or gray, or but it's also about the, can I call it meta tags, where it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
style or things like that you do not see as the user on the product detail page, or
Yeah.
that is not a category that officially exists on your web page, but it is something that people search
Yeah.
for and that they want to
Yeah.
know.
And
Um,
for example, we saw, I was just doing a demo yesterday, and showing how the data is generating, and there was a yellow dress, but then in the meta tags, let's say, you also have butter, butter lemon, as a color, right? And that is something that is a trend, or a monochromatic outfit, and these are the trends that people are searching for, or broad summer, right? So this is like all these trends that come out, and then if you don't have this data, you might have, or like puff sleeves, right? You might have a lot of these products in-house, but if you don't have the data, they won't appear. I still remember there was one client from UK, and they said, I can't believe we sold so many flared jackets this week. And I said, why? And he said, apparently Beyonce came out with a music video, and then she was wearing like a flared jacket and flared jeans. And he said, thank God that we had this attribute. We didn't even knew that we have these attributes in the back, because you're providing to us. But then all these products got sold out because we had these attributes. And then our shoppers could find it, and it got sold out.
yeah,
So, and you said it right, it's not only about having the basic things, and maybe having the basic things, you have two copywriters in-house that input the color, input the pattern, and they are limited because they have limited working hours. But when you use AI to generate all this data that is optimized, you can get so much rich data in seconds, translate it, optimize for SEO, optimize for now the new terms, answer engine optimization, and you get it in seconds, in minutes, and then you save time, you become efficient, you go to market faster, and then your products are better discoverable.
yeah, it's both. I think that's the beauty of this, where it's not just, it makes the process more efficient, right?
Yeah,
Because and that's also the story we have to tell to our customers always. Like, yes, you need tools to make that process more efficient, that process of onboarding data and enriching data and mapping it to your own channels, but it is also about having that data available makes it sell through more easily, and shortens that time to market, and it increases sales. Like, it does two things: it increases efficiency and it increases sales. And especially, I think I really like the flared jeans and flared jacket example. I had the same issue searching for flared jeans for my daughter.
that's
um, so and if you don't, like, you have companies that do not put it in the title or in the description, but it is a flare jeans,
yeah,
and you just cannot find it. And I'm scrolling through 10 pages of jeans just to find something that I think is flared, but it is not categorized as flared. And I know,
yeah.
um, uh,
Yeah, you feel the pain point as
I
well,
feel the
right?
pain. But the problem is, like, if you, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you started in offline retail, right? If you see people looking at your clothes or your shop, or you see them browsing and leaving, you can interact. Like, we are still physical beings, and you can see them, and you can see how they interact with your store, and you can think, oh, I need to put these clothes here, or let's put the flare jacket in the front of the store instead of in the back,
Yeah,
because people are selling it or are buying it now. O- in the digital space, it is much more about data and making that data visible, or
yeah,
making it, having data just in case. I think that is also important. Um, but in any case, what I think is interesting is now where you have this difference between, like say the base models and all the tools around the base models, right? You have the base models like ChatGPT, like Gemini, Claude. You have some image additions to those models as well. It used to be just text generation, now it's image generation, but also you can feed it an image and it'll give you some input or some description back. You've probably heard this 10 times before. We are working with customers who also have this, but why can't I just ask ChatGPT, right? What is, probably you get this daily as well. Like why should I use Pixel and not just ChatGPT?
Yeah. Well, that's a really valid question, right? For a lot of things that we're doing now, we are all turning towards ChatGPT, and of course they can. You can send an image to ChatGPT and say, give me attributes, and then it will give you back attributes. The thing is that in order to, does it give you the right attributes, and does it give you rich enough attributes, and how do you instruct all these big models that have a lot of knowledge within them to give you what's right for you? So I would say that prompt engineering, it's still engineering. And then you need to put a lot of effort in order to have these models really work well for you and well for your products. And then also, how do you put them into a pipeline? So it's all about having the right data. And with Pixel, and I think with every startup out there, you're not only getting a tool, but you're getting a team behind the tool. So when we start working with clients, we do the first thing that we do is align the taxonomy. We get their taxonomy, they get our taxonomy, then we align it. Okay, what is best, and then what are the best filters, what is the metadata, what is their tone of voice, what are the type of clients that they work with. So in a way, they get a team that helps them optimize all the data, and then on top of that, they have a platform, so a visual platform where they can see their images, their initial data, all the data that is AI generated. They can change and validate, and then they have an AI behind that learns as they change and validate. They can track the progress, and then they can, there we have direct integrations with Shopify, with WooCommerce, with Algolia, with let's say with the tech stack. So in a way, it's all about how do you start quick and easy without spending time and changing prompts on ChatGPT, and then you get it there. But then how do you download the data there? So it's a lot of engineering effort that needs to go there before you get to the point of having what Pixel can provide. So we are in the industry for 7.5 years. We know the ups and downs. We know what attributes go well where. We have the richest taxonomy. We have live tagging, right? Live trendy tagging that it's not there on ChatGPT. Then we can optimize. We do alt image generation. We now started generating frequently asked questions for the product detail pages. So basically, there's so much going on, and there's a team at Pixel that keep track of everything that needs to be there, data related, what kind of data the retailers need. So then you can just come in and start using it right away. We actually have a retailer from UK. We met last year at a conference, and they said, "Oh, we just signed a contract with a consultancy to build the same product, right, with what you have." And 3 months ago, they came back and they said, "We realized that after 9 months of building the product, like we've built it and we are 5 years behind, because in the meantime so many things happened that we just cannot keep up. And in order for us to have a tool that can provide us data right away, and it is always updated, we really need a whole team working on it. You need a product manager that will build a roadmap. You need a CTO that will keep on, and data scientists that will keep track of the technology that comes, whether that is ChatGPT Cloud, or the Chinese come with a new model that might work better. So basically, you need a whole team. This is what we have, tracking what is the latest AI developments, what new models should we put in, what kind of new trends can we get in, how do we adapt the taxonomy even more. Now we are seeing, a client of ours send us completely different colors and said, these are the trendy colors for this year, right? So we now adapt new namings of the colors. So it's a lot of work. When you think about, okay, I prompt ChatGPT, I will get a list of attributes back, but in order to do it well and right, there is a specific tool called Pixel AI and a team behind it that does all this work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not like we see this happen a lot as well, where sometimes it's just better to have a customer try and like learn the hard way, if I may say so, because things are more complicated than they look like on the surface, right? I know that my
Yeah,
question is a bit of an open door, but we
yeah,
get that a lot as well. Like, why not just ask ChatGPT to enrich our products, or ask ChatGPT to create that product data model? Because it is actual work, because you need the expertise, because it is a moving target, all the things you just said. But sometimes it's very hard to appreciate that fact from day one,
yeah,
especially if you're coming from, yeah, the daily operations and running your business, and yeah, you need to do something with AI. Well,
yeah.
then let's first do it ourselves. But I'm totally not surprised that they come back to you and say like, hey, let's let's work together, because we
Yeah.
now know, now we're at the level that we appreciate the complexity and the extra value that you bring.
Yeah. And I can connect this, for every tool. So you're from the PIM space. So, any client can say, why do I need a PIM system? I can put things in Excel sheet,
Mm,
right? And you can start doing that. You can start putting things in Excel sheet, and that's fine
yeah,
until the point that you see that it's a bit more complex than that, right? You need in this and this and that. And then what we see in the industry, everybody's moving towards PIM systems
yeah,
because, yes, there are features there. Yes, the complexity is easier there. So it's just the same as for every problem. It can be solved with 10 Excel sheets, and you can do something else. But are you efficient enough? Is your data safe enough? Is it stored enough? So I'm just making the comparison for an easy understanding, and it's like that. I think for every tool. Tool, of course, you can build it yourself, but yeah, there are already great tools out there that you could just plug and play.
yeah. How do you see that with all the new developments happening in the AI space? You already mentioned like, hey, you are very much on top of that, and if
Yeah,
DeepSeek launches a new image model, you have people looking at that instead of, or maybe you're yourself trying in
yeah,
the weekend to build models. And
yeah, yeah.
um, but how do you stay on top of that? And how, like, if you look at the technical setup, like, is it just one model that you're working with, or is it 20 models, or do you have a fine-tuned model per customer? How does that work on the, like, without spilling maybe too much of the trade secrets, but how does that work on the back end?
Yeah, no, but yeah, we have data scientists that keep track of what models are out there and keep on testing them. And in order to get the best results, we do make a combination of few models. So it's not only one. So it's a combination of few models in order to get the best results and the best attribution. And we're always we know what models are good with accuracy and what are good with speed. So depending on the client requirement, somebody said for us speed is very important, then we adjust, okay, what models should we use for speed and good enough accuracy. And somebody says, okay, I don't care about speed, I will just upload the images overnight. If tomorrow morning they're ready, I'm good, I don't need them in 2 seconds back. So then we have multiple models we're working with, and we optimize per client need.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, it's such a, like I said, it's a moving target, right? Because
Yeah.
we can have a discussion right now on what is leading, but there's a new model coming
Yeah.
out every
Yes.
month or every 2 months, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, like, are there any things that you see happening right now that you're super excited about in the world of AI?
Yes, definitely. So there's so many things happening in the world of AI, and I think artificial intelligence as itself at some point will become even a commodity. As at some point we were all building things on our own computers, and then cloud computing came out, and we all went to the cloud. And now when you look at AI, it will just become another cloud layer where we can connect, and do a lot of things with AI. What I'm seeing very also actively progressing is in the world of physical AI. So what we see now is digital AI, right? Chat GPT and cloud, all these things, AI agents that are coming out. And I think there will be AI agents specialized in different areas. There won't be one general agent that will solve everything. But what I'm also very excited about seeing the progress in physical AI happening, and that is robots and machines working, and at some point sitting next to us, being at at supermarkets, and probably you see the new glasses of Meta coming out, with AI, and it gives you informations. And when you think about, okay, about this, it's a really cool product, but in the back of it, this is product. The purpose of it is to start generating data, because we have so much data in the digital space, and we have so much data on internet, and digital books and libraries and Wikipedia, everything on what ChatGPT has learned on. But we don't have much data on how do I move my hands, the distance. And I don't know if you're following, there's a great company, Figure AI. They just released their newest model, version 3. It's just folding clothes in your in your bedroom, cooking for you. And I think that will be the next wave of, let's say, more physical AI coming in between our lives. In terms of ChatGPT and cloud, they will just get better and better and better and more intelligent. And yeah, I think there will be definitely changes in every industry, but I think those changes will be there for good, and there will be new job opportunities, new adoption of how we work with things. And when people say, "Okay, will AI take our jobs?" I first say, yes, all the boring jobs AI should take. Typing in data, it should take, because us humans, we are much more intelligent than that. And I was just at a conference last week, P Apparel Merchandise Planning, and it was great to listen there to the panelists and merchandiser starting to use AI. And what I really like is when they say, yes, AI can give you data, it can does the basic research, but then the human intuition is here, and it cannot replace. So it needs to be, AI is great, working alongside us, giving us data, giving us basic analytics, transforming the data. But then it's the humans that needs to make the decision and have that intuition that comes from life experience, and from a lot of years. That is something that AI cannot take.
Yeah, that focus on making the connection, right? I think
Yeah,
for sure let AI fill in the attributes and the default values and how long a product is, or is it a V-neck sweater, or is it a round neck sweater? That's all fine. I think it's much more important for then the humans to start focusing on that human connection and
yeah,
like create the content that is emotionally connecting to other humans. And I think that is also one of the reasons we shouldn't be too afraid yet of
yeah,
AI slop or AI. I mean, let AI fill in all those the boring details, as you said.
yeah,
Like that's not. I want that as shopper, but to fill in all those details for all your socks that are in your catalog
yeah,
makes no sense. Maybe makes no business sense even. But for me as a shopper, it is very nice to have all that. But maybe have some of your copywriters create a great story about
yeah,
wearing the best socks, right? That's something an
yeah,
AI still can't do convincingly. Let's have this discussion in 6 months or in a year, but
yeah,
let's see. Um, maybe, I mean, we see still lots of customers using AI on a daily basis and doing that with ChatGPT and copy pasting that in. But what would you recommend to businesses that want to explore that next step, that want to take their AI integrations to a more scalable level? What would be your advice to them?
yeah. Uh, okay, so if we stick to the, let's say, to the fashion retail, and for brands and retailers, what I would recommend is just to keep following the shoppers' behavior, right? Because that is definitely changing, and that is something that everybody should be aware. That, okay, before it was very important to have very nice websites, and everything, optimizing for recommendations, or all the ads that were on Google Ads, on Meta. All the marketing teams actually, I think, need to rethink the strategy. Because if we talk about how things will change in retail, it will definitely be about conversational shopping. So I now, if you look at the customer journey, you need to go to a website, you need to go through the filters, you need to search, you need to go through pages. Uh, Now it will be okay. I will talk with the shopping agent, and I will just say what I want, and then I will need to get the information of what I want. And in order, and I'm really happy to be working with some brands that have innovation teams, and they are aware that in order for AI agents to find your products, you need to have a good product data. It's not about then how nice you make the website, but how can AI agents find your products. And then I think the marketing teams need to rethink, okay, where should we go, where should we be presented, all these ads on Google, will they work if people just go and talk with an agent, and then they see all the information, it summarizes them, and the agents will even make the purchase. I don't have to type in my credit card, so it will just be conversational. And I think that will be a very, very big change coming in the coming years, and everybody should rethink their strategy around that.
I just have to train my agent that I don't like mono color clothing. I
Yes. Yes.
make sure that my agent is trained correctly. Um, Svetlana, I we're nearing the end of our conversation. I wanna thank you a lot for sharing your insights, sharing your personal story as well, sharing how you went from a PhD researcher on image-based AI, and how that basically followed the whole development of the industry from just ImageNet to, well, what we're seeing right now, but also how you took that internal drive from building something that works and that adds value to what you're building now on a day-to-day basis, and yeah, share your learnings for other AI founders or other founders in general that are making the leap or are struggling with some things. Maybe as a final thing, like if people have questions for you, where can they find you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you just search for my name, Svetlana Kudnumova, on LinkedIn, then you can find me. And feel free to drop me a message. And of course, you can always go, if you want to talk with the team or see a demo, you can go to Pixyle.ai website and book a call with us. And the team will be very helpful to show you a demo on how everything works.
Cool. We should definitely do that. Maybe we'll schedule a live demo in one of our future webinars for sure.
Yes, I would love that.
Um, Thanks a lot, Svetlana, for joining us today. Thanks a lot for the audience for sticking with us this day. I hope you've learned some interesting things about the history of AI, or the history of Svetlana, or how the future is going to develop, and why you should have AI do the dirty work, and so you can focus on doing the things that really add value. Um, if you want, you can check out more information on Pixyle.ai, as Svetlana already mentioned. If you want more information on PIM, visit pimvendors.com. And please follow us on LinkedIn, because we have many interesting webinars scheduled, and also much more coming up as well. Maybe even a live demo of Pixyle in the nearby future. So follow us, and we'll keep you posted, and you'll receive the full recording in your mailbox in a few days as well. So keep an eye on that as well. See you around, and thanks for sticking around today. Have a good day, and goodbye.